Good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock on Monday, February 26th, 2024, and I'm going to call to order the legislative meeting of the Board of School Directors of Upper Dublin. Ms. Evans, Brooke Evans, if you could take the roll, please.
Ms. Jenna Evans.
Present.
Ms. Ionetti.
Present.
Mr. Held.
Present.
Ms. Redding.
Present.
Ms. Sharpier.
Present.
Dr. Thomas.
She's excused this evening.
Mr. Sirota.
Present.
Mr. Warschauer.
Present.
Mr. Wallach.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone, and good evening. If everybody looks up here at the table this evening, we have one especially new face. I'd like to welcome Anthony Soriano, our student government representative. We've had a couple changes in the operations of how our student representative interacts with us here at meetings at the board, and Anthony is now going to sit with us up here and participate in that capacity. So Anthony, welcome, and we hope you contribute and enjoy your time up here at the Horseshoe Podium with us. With that, we'll move into our reports and presentations, and Anthony is up first.
Is it on? Oh, perfect. This is very cool. So, well, firstly, I wanted to thank you, Dr. Smith, and the school board members for allowing me, to be sitting alongside all of you. It's my pleasure and honor to be sitting with all of you, and, this name placard is very cool. So thank you. So anyways, it's very crazy to believe that we're about to enter the month of March. This school year is truly flying by very fast. The month of February was filled with lots of work and lots of love at Upper Dublin. At the beginning of the month, the Student Government Association sold their annual flowergrams. The carnation flowers were sold at all lunches, and students could go up at lunch and purchase however many flowers they wished to buy. Many students bought them for their fellow classmates, friends, and teachers as a small and fun gift to give for Valentine's Day. This month, some of our Cardinals packed their bags and traveled to Spain as part of our Spanish exchange program at the high school. The students were welcomed by the Spanish exchange students who came in the fall. Our students learned about the language, culture, and beauty that Spain had to offer. The students were there for 2 weeks and recently came back Saturday evening. We are very thankful to have a program like this, and we thank Senora Erickson and Ms. Eager for chaperoning and taking the time to plan the trip. We cannot wait to hear about all the fun things that they did on their trip. Last Friday, the Student Government Association held their annual volleyball marathon. With a dozen teams, students participated in this event from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. There was even a faculty team. The event raised money for Abby's Bakery, a local organization that raises awareness for mental health. The night was filled with music, friends, and of course, volleyball. While most of us were tired, and of course, some of us got hit in the head, but we all had a great night. At the beginning of the night, it was revealed that $4,800 was raised for Abby's Bakery. We thank the SGA for organizing the event and the teams that participated for a great cause. As the month of February comes to a close and March being around the corner, there is a lot to expect this upcoming month. For starters, the Student Government Association will be holding its election for the 2024-2025 Steering Committee in just 2 weeks. You can expect to see a new face introduced at the next school board meeting who will be taking my place for next year. As always, we are truly proud of all of our Cardinals and the amazing things that they do each day. Thank you.
Anthony, thank you for that. We will look forward to a new face, but we will not forget yours and wish you could stay. With that, we'll move on to our next report. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Wallach, and good evening, everybody. I actually have quite a bit to share tonight because there's just so many things to celebrate here in Upper Dublin that have happened over the course of the last month. And I'm sure that I'm going to miss some things, but really wanted to call out a few. We had our Lunar New Year Gala back earlier in February, which was a wonderful event put on to really celebrate the Chinese culture. And shout out to Ms. Lim, who won the annual Inspire Award from the UDCA. We also had in February our UD Celebrate Black History event, another fun evening where the focus was on Black excellence in math and science. It was held at Sandy Run and quite a few in attendance and some great activities. And then we had some unified sports activities going on, track and bocce. We had a basketball event, which I believe was a fundraiser, and then our students got to go to Citizens Bank Park and do the polar plunge, and they were Team Neon, and they just had an amazing, amazing time. As far as some academic celebrations, our high school quiz bowl team won the Montgomery County academic competition. There were 6 students on that team, supported by Mr. DRC. Our FBLA, we sent 4 board members, represented the high school at the Varsity Life Smarts Pennsylvania State competition at the Attorney General's office in Harrisburg, and they placed 4th in the state of Pennsylvania under the leadership of Mrs. Sundling. We also had our Pennsylvania Junior Academy of Science regional competition this past Saturday, and 4 of our Sandy Run Middle School students joined over 275 students from middle schools and high schools across the county. We have 3 7th graders placed 2nd in their areas and 1 8th grader placed 1st, who will now present in May at Penn State University, his project on how water filtration affects the growth of bacteria. Then I have quite a few athletic just celebrations because the weekend was apparently a really good weekend for Upper Dublin. So in swimming, our boys, we sent 9 boys to districts this weekend with 3 individuals earning district medals. We also had all 3 relays finished on the podium as medalists and guaranteed a spot at states in 2 weeks. And the team finished in 5th place, which is the best finish since 2020. Our girls swim team won the 2024 District 1 Championship this weekend in York. We sent 16 girls who swam in 29 individual events, which was the most in District 1. The medley relay won a gold medal, while the other relays each finished in 2nd place, and we have 8 individuals that earned medals. Indoor track and field, congratulations to the girls 4x800 relay who won the state championship in that event and shattered our school record. And 2 other relays, the distance medley relay and the 4x400, also won state medals, each finishing in 7th place. Girls wrestling. Riley Netter finished in 3rd place in the Southeast Regional Wrestling Tournament, and this guarantees her a spot in the first ever PIAA Girls Wrestling State Tournament next weekend in Hershey. And our boys basketball with a win of 55-25 over Sun Valley on Saturday. The boys will face Unionville on Thursday night at Westchester University for the District 1 5A championship, and it is the school's first appearance in the district championship game since 1985. So some great accomplishments for our athletics as well. And then lastly, I just have for you some business updates. We do have a new district Facebook page. If you would be so kind as to like or follow us at Upper Dublin SD Official. We have 886 followers so far in just a few short weeks. And I would like to report out that the board members and our administrative team will be participating in professional development on March 20th to be led by the Stand With Us organization, where we will learn about Jewish identity and how to recognize anti-Semitism and prevent and respond to incidents. Thank you for the time, Mr. Wallach.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. And Dr. Smith, on behalf of the board, thank you for all of the legwork you did in setting up that professional development opportunity, and we look forward to participating in that. With that, it brings us to our first opportunity for public participation. This is for agenda items only. If anyone wishes to address the board, please come up, state your name, location within the township, and Ms. Evans will time your 4 minutes.
Roland Lind from Summit Avenue in Fort Washington. I came here to speak to a lot of things. I know I'm not going to get through them, so I'm going to reserve some of the comments on some particulars at the end of the board meeting when a second is allowed. I'm in receipt of this educational communication through the Ambler Gazette that came to me a couple of months ago. I was shocked to find out that of the 18 schools in Upper Dublin, I'm sorry, in Montgomery County, Upper Dublin ranks only in the bottom 60%. 30% of the schools, 6 of the 18, have better scores than we do. I'm a resident of Upper Dublin since 1971, perhaps. At the time, the high school had just been built, not this magnificent eighth wonder of the modern world that we have now. But it was a high school that was eventually torn down. We used to send our kids, just before I became a resident here, the children were sent over to Abington for their high school. But the man who was in charge of Upper Dublin at that time was a man, superintendent, his name was Eshelman, as I recall. Mr. Eshelman had a comment. I'll never forget it. He said, Lower Merion High School is the best high school in Montgomery County. And he said one time to the superintendent of that school, he said, everything that you can do, I can do better. And over the course of time, Upper Dublin was pushing Lower Merion for the best scores and for the best high school in Montgomery County. Look at this test thing. High school, on a 100-point basis, Upper Dublin High School in this report says we are 30 points lower than Lower Merion in our criteria for standardized test scores. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how you feel about it. I had my kids go through this system. They received good education. They all went to good colleges. All are successful in various degrees in various pursuits. I don't know why a person here that's pushing 90 should be at the school board after all these years and telling you what a rotten job you're really doing, or maybe not you're doing, but certainly has happened over my course of events here. The other thing that bothers me about the whole thing is when I read something like this. This is what is commonly known in the business world as a posh report. It says that our school district is listed among the best in the U.S. News and World Report. U.S. News Report considers social criteria equal to educational criteria. They're interested in DEI, not the 3 R's of reading, writing, and arithmetic. So anytime I see a report that the first thing you say is you're pitching me how good the school district is on the basis of U.S. News and World Report, please don't do it again. Second thing is proficiency. It says that Upper Dublin school districts are proficient. Well, proficient is not a synonym for good, better, and best. As a matter of fact, proficient in the state system says you only have to be 50% good. 50% of what is required, or what would be a good requirement, gives you a passing grade. I went through the Philadelphia school system. It was the Philadelphia school system in my day was even better than that. As I said, there's a lot of things that I could talk in the next district, but among the other things, I'll just bring up here.
Mr. Lind, your time has expired. If you could reserve that for the next session.
Thank you for giving me 4 minutes. It was really a pleasure.
Jenny Vitella, Ambler, and I just want to say, Anthony, you've been fantastic. And years ago, before COVID, that's where they sat. The student representative always did sit at the front table. So it's good to have you back. I'm glad that tradition has returned. You took the words out of my mouth. It was a very busy, fun, exciting basketball, track, and of course, unbiased swimming weekend. And I have to say, the last time, 1985, the basketball team won that district game, I actually was a senior at Upper Dublin High School. It was a great year for us then, too. So it should be fun. And one thing I just want to add is the post-prom has started planning. So we're meeting with teachers and staff tomorrow, and looking forward to our student support and board support and community support for that coming up. I know that the Jewish community will be very thrilled to hear that you've decided to go stand with us on March 20th, 24th. So thank you very much for doing that.
I do not see anyone else approaching the microphone, so with that, I will close our first opportunity for public participation. Dr. Smith, anything to discuss in response? Board members, any comments in response at this time? Working microphone. We'll move on to the rest of our agenda. First, we have our minutes from our January 22nd, 2024 meeting. They've been circulated to the board members. And if I could get a motion to approve those minutes, please. Mr. Sirota, thank you. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Mr. Held, thank you so much. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Next, we'll move on to our Education Committee recommendations, and Ms. Sharpier.
All right, we have just two items, the student activities and conferences. Both of them were discussed in Education Committee, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve those two items, A and B.
Thank you so much. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Mr. Warschauer, thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Next up, we have the Finance Committee recommendations. Mr. Sirota.
Thank you. We have 16 items under the Finance Committee recommendations tonight. All of these were discussed last week at the Finance Committee, except item P, the last one, which is our regular monthly payments. Just a quick note that at least one has had the minor adjustments applied that we discussed at the Finance Committee. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve all 16 items, A through P.
Thank you for that. Do I have a second on that motion?
I second.
Ms. Redding, thank you. Didn't know where that came from. Apologies. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Next, we'll move on to our Personnel Committee recommendations, and Ms. Redding, it's back to you.
We have 3 items for personnel. I'd like to make a motion to pass those 3 items.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Do I have a second on that motion? Mr. Sirota, thank you so much. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Motion carries. Next on our agenda is our pupil services recommendations, of which we have none this month. So we will then move to our policy committee recommendations, and Ms. Iannitti.
Yes, these were discussed. The second readings have been discussed for months now, so I think we're ready to to approve those. And the first readings will come back, but I'm going to make a motion to approve all of these.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Mr. Held, thank you so much. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Next on our agenda is other business, of which we again have none this evening. So we'll move to our solicitor's report and Mr. Diazio.
Yes, thank you. The board met in executive session this evening for half an hour prior to tonight's public meeting. There were 2 items on the agenda, the personnel report that the board just approved a few moments ago, and the board also had a short discussion regarding acquisition of real estate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio. We are next up to our second opportunity for public participation. This can be for any item whatsoever. If you please approach the microphone, state your name, your location within the township, and you'll have 4 minutes.
Mr. Lynn, Summit Avenue again, Fort Washington. In this cultivating culture of learning in response to data. There's so many things in here that I find disturbing. Basically, as I said, it's a posh piece. I don't blame you for saying things that you want to make the school look good. And in some respects it is. But I did a little cross-checking. I found out where Americans, I have it with me, I can show it to you, where American schools show up in a nationwide reporting system. Do you know that the United States, of the 50 largest countries that were called modern, we only show up at 26 or 27 of that group. Fully half, at least half of those 50 schools or countries have better school systems than we do. I really found it really interesting that Thailand did better in international scores than American students did. So I thought, well, wait a minute. Can I do a cross-check here against what is listed in those international reports against what we receive in our reports in the United States? And I could. I found out, indeed, where we stand. We stand somewhere a little bit above, I'm talking about Upper Dublin now, we stand in this school district a little bit above 50% of all the schools in the world that are, let's call them modern cultures. Upper Dublin is only 50% of that grouping. That means that we're not doing it right. Whatever we're doing in Upper Dublin, whatever we're doing in the United States, it's not working. Our mathematical and science only shows up at 65% proficient. Not good, not better, not best. 50% proficient is all that we have in this school district. And yet you say, we're doing fine. Please tell me where I'm wrong. How come we're not doing what Thailand is doing, for crying out loud? So, I don't know. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on this until I pass into the next world. Let me just simply say one more thing. I guess I only got a few seconds left. On page 13 of this document, it says, PSA statewide data, science, English, language, and math. Under science, our proficiency is 57%. Think about that, 57% only if proficient. Why aren't we 80 or 90% proficient? And then in math, we're only 26% proficient. 26% in a school district where we have professionals all over the place. I find that disturbing, I just do. Lastly, you always push the SATs as being how good Upper Dublin does in SATs. The reason SATs are a poor indicator of tests, and you have it here listed, by the way, in I think it's page 8 or 9. The SATs, for most people that take them, are being tutored either by their parents or by professionals. And not everybody, usually up until a few years ago, maybe they do now, everybody has to take an SAT, I don't know. But the SATs, most of those people are tutored, and we can always do well because there's private instruction that is pushing the SAT scores up, not necessarily the education you get here in the schools to make SATs a good criteria. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Jenny Vitella, Ambler. I want to say, I've heard that the elevator may be broken in Sandy Run Middle School, one of 2 of them, and I'm curious if that's true, and if it is true, is our new contract with this new group that we approved tonight going to take care of that? And what did we have before, and why is it broken? This building's only a year old. Again, I will, as promised, I will bring up the bus depot yet again. I would like to know if you will be scheduling a town hall meeting for residents about this. Number two, I want to know if you are willing to rethink using an outside expert that was offered to the district to be paid by a community member to really analyze properties, not a real estate agent that would rather sell to an apartment complex or a developer. Also, have you discussed with a partnership with the township? Again, we've said this a million times. Upper Dublin is uniquely wonderful that our township and our school district share the exact same taxpayers, the exact same streets, the exact same community members, the exact same students. Everybody's exact same. Our borders are exactly the same. Not many places can say that, and we are special that way. We should take advantage of that unique opportunity and work together and save our taxpayers money. This township is spending $52 million right across the street on a public works building that has at least 4 bays right now with a huge garage, and they're adding a whole nother unit that will have 5 more bays, a gas station and electric pumps and electric, chargers. I don't understand why we can't use some of that or work with them. Or why can't we use some township space at Twining Valley? It's 105 acres. There's a whole space right on Susquehanna next to the firehouse. There's also a whole space when you're heading from Susquehanna to Walsh Road on the left. It's junk is in there now. It's not part of the park. It's kind of between the park and the next house. It's kind of dead, flat space there. Would be a great spot. And so that you're not putting this thing feet away from elementary school. It is so close, and it's terrible. Also, the Delaware Avenue property. I don't think that we have fully vetted that. I know we have had people on the board have said it, but no offense, none of you, not me, we are not experts. We are not engineers. We're not developers. We are not construction managers. We know nothing. We don't know. We have education. We have expertise in other areas. That is great. We are all, I believe, capable and smart people, but we are not experts in this. We need to look to experts. Also, the presentation. It is one-sided. It is not factually accurate. And I really wish that we would redo that thing and give both sides of the story. People would believe it better if we gave both sides of the story. One of the first things it says is the area around Fort Washington is unused portion land. It isn't. That is not true. Just factually inaccurate. That space is absolutely used daily for car line. It's used for overflow parking. It's used for parking for the Field of Dreams and the Lockgash Fields. And that whole driveway is used for high school parking and high school sports. And just by taking an event away from Field of Dreams to eliminate parking doesn't solve that problem. You're taking things away from kids, families, and residents, and it's space and their fields and they're around kids. The other false statement is this project will not impact any current district operations or community operations at west of the Field of Dreams. Again, it's just factually incorrect. It is absolutely used space. It is not kept up, but it is used space. And this presentation needs to be updated so it's factually correct, or at least gives both sides of the story or the rest of the story. Thank you.
I'm not seeing anyone else approaching the microphone, so I will close that opportunity for public participation. I will note that we received no written comments before the meeting. Comments, responses, Dr. Smith, anything?
I will just add that Mr. Hoffman and I will certainly review the academic data that was referenced. And I would defer, I don't know if Mr. Leckman, if there's anything that you would like to respond to anything else.
Dr. Smith, just the academic data, just want to note that the slides that were presented, the numbers that were offered were the statewide data, not that of Upper Dublin High School. That was the state averages, not our actual performance.
So I don't have anything specific. I will note that we did meet with the township on multiple occasions throughout the process. We looked at township-owned properties. We met with their Land Development Committee, I believe it was, and did speak with them. That was part of the process that we did go through. I'm not aware of a real estate agent and a proposal that was offered to the district in the past, so I can't speak on that piece of it. So that's all I have, unless there are other specific questions.
Thank you for that, everybody. Any other comments from the board? Okay. We will move on. We have some informational items. We have our enrollment report. We have our liaison committee reports. On behalf of the Ed Foundation, I want to make just two plugs, so to speak. One is that nominations are open right now for medals for educator, citizen, and nonprofit. So I think that runs sometime in, I don't know, into March or something like that. And the other thing is winning cards night is March the 16th. Tickets are on sale. It'll be a great evening, all the proceeds of which go to the Ed Foundation. So they go to the district and to township charities. So that's my two plugs for the Ed Foundation. Dr. Smith?
I really apologize. I did forget something that I meant to say at the very beginning of the meeting. I did want to welcome Mrs. Jennifer Summers, our new Director of Student Services. This was day one for her, and she's here for the meeting, so nice long day, and she's coming back tomorrow, but we're really excited to have her be joining us, and you'll see her more often. I apologize. I did not do that at the beginning. Thank you, Mr. Wallach.
I do too as well apologize, so welcome, Jen. Any other board members have any other updates for liaison reports other than what's in the printed materials? Okay. We had our monthly committee meetings that approved minutes for education and policy on January 3rd and finance on January 17th as informational items. And we have our schedule for our next upcoming meetings in March. Education committee will meet Wednesday, March the 6th at 6 o'clock. Policy committee, same date at 7 o'clock or right after education committee. The finance committee will meet on March the 13th at 6 o'clock. And our next legislative meeting will be Monday, March the 18th at 7 o'clock. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.